Mayor, thanks again for joining me today. I'm sure you're a busy guy. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, said the other day that he's ready to start phase one of reopening, but it would not include Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. So how far behind is Miami-Dade County in reopening? Because a lot of people want to know.
I don't think it's too far behind the rest of the state. We are, right now, we have a number of groups that are working with our medical experts on how to reopen, who to reopen as quickly as we can. And we've had conversations with the governor. We're right in lockstep with each other. The rest of the state has a different reality with COVID-19 than Broward, Palm Beach, and Miami-Dade do. And so that's the reason why the governor kind of excluded us, because we need to do things a little bit differently than the rest of the state.
So when you say you're a little bit behind, people are obviously looking for a date. And I know you don't like being trapped by a certain date, but are we talking about a week to 10 days behind or 2 to 3 weeks behind? Just so people can kind of wrap that in their mind.
We have to finish our work with the groups and with our medical advisors, and then look at the trends here in Miami-Dade before we can say, okay, it's on that date we will be doing phase one. Our phase one will probably be an announcement to get ready to open. And these are the things that should get ready to open, and you need to open in this manner. That way give you a little bit more, a little time to do it. But I can't give you a date, I can't, because we haven't finished our work yet.
Now, when you say your phase one is going to be, okay, now we're going to give you a time when you're going to be reopened, does that mean reopening won't happen until phase two? Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, like phase one is get ready to open, and then in phase two would be opening certain things. It's maybe a little different than what the way that the governor has it. We have a consulting group that's working with us. So we still have to work that out. And maybe, that phase one will be phase zero, phase zero, get ready to open, and then phase one will happen on this date. So that's still to be worked out. That's the work that we still have to conclude. We are getting close to concluding that work. But again, we have a number of different groups that are working. Some have finished. Now we have to write up the orders. Some still have a little work to do. Like later today, we'll have the personal grooming group, which is hairdressers and barbershops and the like. That should be a very interesting group to work with. That's a little bit more challenging. And so, again, it's a new normal, and we want to make sure that when we open up and we start opening up, that we don't go back. Although nothing here is written in stone, and we have to make sure we have a monitoring system. We monitor what's going on in the hospitals. We're also monitoring what's going on in the county, and then continue, hopefully, to continue to open up and open up and open up, but always under a new normal. It's not going to go back to the way it was before.
I know a lot of people have probably been asking you, is that the most popular question, the salons and the barber shops? I mean,
oh, yeah.
Especially me, I've been waiting for that barbershop.
Number one question: when are we going to be able to go to a hair salon or a barbershop and all that? I have, my hair is already, way long and all that, and yeah. And my wife's constantly asking when are you going to do it? And we won't do it until it's safe. And also, we got to find a way to make it safe too, because that's personal contact. You're actually touching people, and somebody else is touching you. Hair salons, the nail salons, same thing. So a little bit more challenging, and so that's why we're trying to work our way through it.
A lot of people want to, get out of the house a little bit. Obviously, when it's safe, health is most important on everybody's mind, and they want to get out of the house and they want to be able to actually go eat at a restaurant. From everything you've been saying, I mean, that most likely will be included in the phase where things do reopen.
We want to, because so many people's lives and livelihood depend on restaurants. All the waiters and the folks that work in restaurants. There's a lot of people employed there. We want to, and yesterday we had a very lively discussion with the restaurant group as what do we have to do in order to open that up, and that's being written now. I think we got to a point where we can write almost a final draft of that. and have it ready to go back to the group and say, okay, here's our final draft of this. Is this okay? Along with our doctors, and then take it to our medical advisors and say, okay, here are the rules for this. Is that okay? When? Again, we're not at that point yet. Look, it's not too far out. I'm not telling people, hey, it's not 2 months out. This is not too far out. I want to get this open as quickly as we can in a safe manner, and also want to make these rules as consistent as possible to the vast majority of our residents, so that you don't have to know, well, I'm going to a restaurant, the rules are like this. I'm going to a barbershop, the rules are like this. To you and I, who are the customers of these establishments, the rules should be very consistent. This is what I have to do as a customer, whether I go here, go there, whatever. The back of the house, what they have to do may be a little bit different because of the nature of the work.
A lot of people have been asking me, and I want to get to some sports questions in just a second, but another common question, you've been getting the salons and the hairstylists and all of that. A lot of guys have been asking me, when is the adult entertainment establishments going to be able to open? Have you even thought about that?
No, to be honest with you, I haven't. So there are things that I haven't thought about. All right. Like, tattoo parlors. No, I haven't thought about it. And that involves blood, that involves a whole series of things, when you're getting a tattoo, and obviously close personal contact. So no. And then, adult entertainment, there's close personal contact, and no, I haven't thought about it actually. It's one of the things. Look, we know that down the line, further down the line, are going to be the bars and the discos and the clubs and adult entertainment. All that stuff that's down the line, because that's where people start to get close to each other. And no, so I wouldn't count on being open, too soon.
Mayor, the governor said the other day at his press conference that he believes come June or July, there could be fans in the stands at some sporting events. I think most people were just like, hey, give us some sports, we'll watch it on television. But the governor said he believes come June or July, there could actually be a limited amount of fans. Do you have that same thought process?
I think it's a possibility. Yeah, absolutely. We think that there may be, when you have social distancing, you may not be able to have 65,000 people in the Hard Rock, but could you have a limited number of people in the Hard Rock, limited number of entrances, make sure they're separated by a certain amount? Could you have them wearing masks and all that? That could be safe, and so I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying that could be. And so I'm certainly willing to work with the governor and also with our venues here to see what we can do in that regard. I certainly would love to make sure that we don't miss out on the rest of baseball season and football season, and maybe hopefully end up the basketball season. Basketball is a little different. The arenas and closed and all that, but outdoor venues, it may be a little simpler and easier to do. So I wouldn't say no to it. I think that's something that I would like to work towards to see if we can get that done.
Have you spoken to any commissioner or owner of a sports team here in South Florida about when they can actually get back in their building? As you know, the NBA, they said that it possibly May 8th, they would like some team facilities to be open for individual workouts. Have you been in any contact with the NBA or the Miami Heat or any sports team?
I've been, we have had conversations with the Dolphins about plans and how could they get back to start to work and all that. I don't think look, if you have a set number of people that it's not that they're not about out and about in the community, and you can put them somewhere, kind of segregate them. I think you can make the case that, hey, those folks have been isolated, they've been on quarantine basically for over 14 days. There's no symptoms, nobody has anything. I think you make a case that they can go ahead and play against each other, especially if you have tests. If you give them tests, and so when you have a limited number of people, you could probably do that. And so in my head, say, if I were commissioner, how would I do this? Yeah, I could probably get it done. But again, I don't run those franchises. I don't run those leagues. But I think it's something that can get done. It's going to take them a little money. I mean, maybe you have to get a hotel and say, okay, all my players are here. This is the way they get fed. They don't have contact with outside people. They get tested, every 3 days. We give them an antibody test, and then they can play against each other, in an empty stadium. Yeah, you probably get that done. Yeah.
You do have a say, though, come, let's say, May 8th, if the NBA says, hey, we want to get our players individually to work out in the facility, will you allow that at the American Airlines?
You can right now. The Miami Heat, if they want to work out their players individually, they can do that, because we opened up our parks on Wednesday. You get up to 3 people in a half court, each with their own ball. Well, there you go. Okay, so the Miami Heat could probably get all their players in their facility. I don't know how many half courts they have, but if they get a facility which has 6 baskets or something like that, they can get up to 18 players working one-on-one on their own there without no physical contact, keeping away from each other. Yeah, they can get it done.
So even though it's the open spaces and the parks that you opened, you'll still allow that indoors.
A half court basketball, yeah, we can allow that, as long as you maintain the same rules of one ball, nobody touches somebody else's ball and all that. Yeah, you can get that done.
Sticking with sports, the Dolphins drafted Tua. Has Tua gotten a key to the county yet?
No, no,
No.
Nobody's gotten the key to the county. We may give maybe some recognition to, if we got any local guys that were drafted. And I think we did. Some of our local players got drafted, but no, I think he's going to have to prove something on the football field first, and then we'll probably give him a key. But then by then, I won't be the mayor anymore. So another mayor will have to give him the key.
Lastly, for you, Mayor, how has everything been going so far since you opened up the golf courses and the parks? How are people paying attention to that?
Very well. What we did is we hired 400 people that were actually working at the Hard Rock and the AAA and their security side, and we augmented all of our parks people. And then on top of that, we put all the school crossing guards that right now, since there's no school, we put them in the parks and to augment, and then other non-park people that don't have a duty right now, put them in the park. So we had maybe about 1,000 people to our park system to make sure that the rules are being followed. What's critical in the whole thing is that we have enforcement. And I don't want to be that way, but unfortunately, if you don't have the enforcement, people are going to take advantage. Then you're going to get all these images, and then you're going to say, hey, and then you got to close because it's not safe. That's the last thing I want to do. So we took about over a week, to get all this lined up and put all our ducks in a row and said, okay, we're going to open up on a Wednesday, which is like a soft opening because, it's the middle of the week. And then the waters the same way. Okay, how are we going to patrol the waters? How are we going to enforce the waters? We got to make sure people aren't called rafting, basically tying ropes to each other. No parties, all of that. No landing, no beaching themselves on a sandbar. None of that stuff. You want to go out, you go out with your family on your boat, just keep 50 feet away, no problem. You want to go fishing, no problem, and all that. But partying and all that stuff where people are close, no, we can't have that. And so, again, we put an enforcement plan out there. There's going to be air assets up there so that they can guide our boats to, hey, those folks are rafting. It's a no-no. And then we're going to have pretty strict enforcement. And then on the golf courses, I went out to a golf course on Wednesday. Everything was going the way it should have been going. You can get up to 4 people. Everybody has their own cart. Got to keep 6 feet away. You don't even, the ball doesn't even go in the hole anymore because we lifted the cup. When it hits the cup, it's good to go. And by the way, that's USGA now. USGA has said that's okay. And so even that is recognized. So, it was done the right way, planned out the right way. We had the number of resources the people needed in order to enforce it. And so it's gone well. The weekend now, that's the test, right? And so we know that on Friday, we already closed our boat ramps. That's how crowded they were. So the Black Point and Matheson boat ramps are closed. It's crawling all the way up, all the way to Hollover. And so we expect tomorrow to be a lot of people in the water, including those that are on the wet slips that are open too. So again, enforcement is going to be there, but I think we'll be fine.
Mayor, we're all hoping for the best for Miami-Dade, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And, let's make sure that we have a good time out there and make sure we follow the rules. And then we will be opening up this economy sooner rather than later.
I appreciate it. Thanks for joining me.
You're welcome.